Hello, friends. Just wanted to jump on here and give you a quick update of where we are, what's happening here at the Berean Way, and what our plans are moving forward. Really just wanted to jump on here. Want to ask, for starters, the little intro that I put at the beginning of this video there. What do you think about it? Hopefully you like it. I've got a different opening on the first 3 or 4 videos I'm going to air on the channel starting Sunday. We're going to talk about that in a moment. But I created that little opening just recently, a couple days ago. I wanted to do something sort of standard to open all videos with, so I think I'm going to use that. So let me know what you think about that. But the reason I jumped on here today is to just give you an update with the channel, to talk a little bit about what we're doing and what we're getting ready to do here in the next few days. So beginning Sunday at 2 p.m., I'm going to start launching some videos. Right now, I have 4 videos in the queue ready to go. I'm in the middle of another study right now that will eventually become the next video, maybe even 2 or 3 videos, because it's a pretty deep subject dealing with dispensationalism. Now, I've studied this in depth before. That's partly what led to me changing my views on a lot of things. But I wanted to put it together in a way that I thought would be pretty easy to understand and pretty relatable to most folks. But what we're going to do with releasing videos starting Sunday at 2 p.m., I will add this to all the social media pages, but we want to encourage you to go to the YouTube channel, The Berean Way, and subscribe to the channel. Right now, the link is hard to find due to the fact that we've not got any videos that are active and live yet. They're in the queue, they're set to private, so they can't be seen until they're launched. But we're getting ready to launch those videos, so let me encourage you, go to the YouTube channel, subscribe to the channel. There is a link on the Facebook page, The Berean Way. Go look us up there. Follow us there, because we're going to do a lot of updates through social media regarding what's going on with the work here at The Berean Way. But what we're going to do, this first video that's going to launch, it's a shorter video, 22, 23 minutes. And what I do in that video, I just talk about why I started this channel, how it sort of came about. And I briefly, talk a little bit about my journey of coming out of the mainstream church. I don't get too in-depth in that. It's pretty brief in that video. But that's sort of just a kind of an introductory type video to the channel, to myself, to, kind of what we're going to be doing with this channel and sort of moving forward. The next couple of videos that I'll release after that, and I'm going to do this each Sunday at 2 p.m., the next 2 videos are going to cover the name of the Creator and His Son, the Messiah, Yeshua. And I'm going to talk about why I use the proper names of the Creator, which I believe to be Yahweh, and the proper name of the Son, which is Yeshua. And I just felt like, at the start of this channel and getting it up and going, that those are 2 things that I feel are important. The reason I think those are important is I feel like probably the majority of people that's going to watch this channel are very likely those that are still in the mainstream church, who are more familiar with the titles rather than the names of Lord and God and Christ and Jesus, which wasn't his proper name. That's a transliteration, which we will talk about in those videos. After that, the next video to release is probably going to be just as controversial in a lot of ways. I'm going to talk about the pre-trib rapture and why I no longer hold to that view, because that's really where the journey started with me. Back in, I think it was 2019, I sat down to do an in-depth study on the book of Revelation. Of course, there were other things that was already changing prior to that, but it really in 2019, when I sat down to do this study on the book of Revelation, I came to verse 7, and, the verse that talks about how every eye will see him, even those who pierced him. And I came to that verse and I thought, I probably should really settle for myself what I actually believe about the, quote, rapture, because I felt like that was greatly going to impact how I understood the book of Revelation. So I went and did a study on that, and it quickly fell apart as I began to test it to Scripture, which then led me to look into dispensationalism. Why? Because dispensationalism is the framework. It's one of the main legs that holds holds up this doctrine of the pre-trib rapture. So I moved into a study of dispensationalism, and it also quickly fell apart when it was compared to Scripture. And basically, dispensationalism is this idea that there is this huge dichotomy or division between Israel and, quote, the church. And so it quickly fell apart. There was some major things that I started to see in Scripture that really had a huge impact on what I believed and the changes that took place after that. So I'm going to share some about the pre-trib rapture, then we're going to move into the framework and the doctrine of dispensationalism and how it doesn't hold up to Scripture. And then from there, we're going to move into probably some just as controversial studies like looking at this huge dichotomy between, this division between what most would call the Old Testament and the New Testament. I prefer to call them the Hebrew writings or the Tanakh. And the apostolic writings, after learning that even that terminology, Old Testament, New Testament, was given to us by an early 2nd century heretic by the name of Marcion. And then we're going to dive into some other topics that are going to be tough. They're going to challenge what we have typically been taught in the church, that nobody ever really seems to question or that nobody ever really wants to even talk about. We're going to talk about things like Sabbath. What is it? Why is it? Is it really Sunday? Is it really Saturday? What day is the Sabbath? Why is it important? We're going to talk about things like the feasts. We're going to get into a lot of that stuff. We're going to talk about the law, the Torah. Is it still relevant? Is it still applicable to believers today? Those are some tough topics, admittedly, but nobody wants to talk about them in the mainstream church. And so what I want the Berean Way to be is a place, a space where we can talk about the difficult and maybe some of the more controversial topics and begin to lay these over Scripture and see what does the Scripture actually say. I'm not concerned with what man thinks. I'm not concerned with what, church creeds and church dogmas and denominations have to say. I'm going to be very blunt and very frank right here. I could care less about those things, okay? What I care about is truth found in the Scripture. What does Yahweh say to His people through His Scriptures, through His holy word, and through His Messiah and His true set-apart people? So those are going to be some of the things we're going to dig into in this channel. And so if those are topics you're interested in or you've been curious about, like I think most church folk are, these people that are so wrapped up in the mainstream church, I think a lot of them have questions, but there's no room and there's no space in the mainstream church to address and talk about these tough issues and these tough questions. Now, I'm not familiar with the type of church maybe you as a viewer grew up in, but the church that I sort of, came up in was not a place where you could really discuss these things. Most services were geared around, some dynamic type worship. The preacher, the pastor would get on the platform and, preach from the pulpit. There was very little Bible study. There was, even Sunday school was done away with in the church that I was in, which is a great place, by the way, to ask questions, So it really removed the opportunity to really ask a lot of questions in the congregational setting where you could interact among one another and really challenge those doctrines. So that's really what I want the Berean Way to be, is a place where we dig into those types of topics and subjects and try to answer as best we can from the Scripture. The other thing that I wanted to jump on here for today is I just want to thank everybody who has supported the channel thus far, even though we've really not got it up and going. I was able to get several people to follow us on social media, which helps me to go live on the Facebook page. But I would really like for folks to go over to the YouTube channel. And again, it's hard to find right now because the videos haven't launched yet, so it makes it doesn't put the channel out there as far as the algorithms because we have no videos that are public yet, which we will starting Sunday at 2 p.m. So let me encourage you, go to the Berean Way Facebook page, because on that page there is a post, and I don't remember when I posted it. It's probably been a few days ago, but there is a post with a link to the YouTube channel. So go to the YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button so that you'll get notified when we go live starting Sunday at 2 p.m. And that is the other thing that I wanted to get on here and just, put the information out there. We are going live Sunday at 2 p.m. Well, not live, but we're going to launch some videos starting at 2 p.m. on Sunday. So let me encourage you, be on the lookout for that. I did put up a post a few days ago, sort of asking people, what would be a good day, a good time that everybody would sort of, be able to get on there and look at some videos, watch some videos. Didn't get a whole lot of response, of course. That's understandable considering I don't really have a lot of followers, at least as of yet anyway. The hope is to get some folks, engaging with the teachings and really digging into the scriptures, that type of stuff. So if you want to help us with that, help us on the social media, share, follow us on social media, share our content, that type of thing. But again, we just want to thank you for any support you've given the channel, whether that's simply just watching this video today or you followed us on social media and you've already subscribe to the YouTube channel. Either way, we thank you for any support that you give. So the announcement is our first video is going up 2 p.m. Sunday of this week. So keep that in mind. Be watching for it. Be looking for it. Like the videos, share the content, help us get the truth out there to those who are curious and to those who are pursuing biblical truth. So until then, hope to see you at the premiere on Sunday.